Welcome back to Field Notes from the Dead, a podcast where bones speak softly and the past leans in close. I'm Kai Roberts, forensic anthropology student, eternal lover of dark archives, and someone who believes that the ways we bury our dead tell us everything about the ways we lived. Today's episode is one that feels equal parts eerie, scientific, and heartbreakingly human. We're exploring unusual burials, graves that break the rules, and what they reveal about fear, ritual, and meaning in the ancient world. These are the graves archaeologists sometimes call deviant burials, protective burials, or even strange burials. But really, they're stories of anxiety, love, fear, and the human desire to keep the living safe, even from the dead. Let's open the soil. Imagine you're excavating a medieval cemetery. Row after row of bodies laid out in the exact same way. Head west, feet east, arms crossed, the expected Christian burial form. And then suddenly, you uncover something wrong. A skeleton pinned face down, a heavy stone placed intentionally on its chest, or the head's missing, tucked between the legs, or placed at the feet. This isn't random. This isn't clumsy digging. This is deliberate. A burial meant to prevent movement, prevent wandering, prevent return. Not all societies feared the dead, but many feared restless dead. And archaeologists show us how deeply those fears shaped the body, even centuries after life ended. Let's get one thing clear. When archaeologists say vampire burial, we don't mean Dracula. We mean individuals buried with stones in their mouths, iron stakes through the limbs, decapitation, heavy rocks on the torso, limbs bound or weighted, sometimes burials even at crossroads. These modifications weren't performed because the person was evil. They were performed because the community was anxious. Reasons for vampire burials include preventing disease spread, preventing the hungry dead from rising, preventing restless spirits, social stigma or suspected wrongdoing of the person, and an unexplained death or illness. Suicide can also fall into this. In many Slavic regions, stones in the mouth prevented the corpse from chewing its shroud, a folkloric belief tied to tuberculosis and decomposition gases. In Britain, some skeletons show evidence of decapitation after death, a ritual act performed during burial, not actually execution. It was never about monsters. It was about the fear, a community doing its best to understand the unknown. From a forensic perspective, identifying a ritual or unusual burial requires attention to patterns. Archaeologists look for orientation differences, bodies buried face down or sideways when everyone else is supine, or a traditional Christian burial. Number 2, grave goods that don't match the period or the culture, like an iron tool placed across the neck. 3, post-mortem modifications, decapitation or limb binding done after death, but not for a violent reason or the cause of death. Number 4, weighting or pinning the corpse down, stones or timbers placed to restrict corpse movement. Number 5, cemetery placement, burials placed boundaries, crossroads, or outside the consecrated grounds of what we would think of a cemetery. Number 6, repeated cultural patterns. Once you see dozens of similar cases, you know the community was following ritual practice. And scientifically, we can tell whether a cut was made before or after death. We went through this in episode 1, antemortem, perimortem, postmortem, whether a stone was placed intentionally or if it was a murder weapon, whether the positioning of the corpse was natural or people arranged it, whether decomposition was disrupted intentionally, or did the environment do it? This is osteology meeting folklore, science meeting the story. Let's do some case studies when burials broke the rules. Just small little snippets. Later podcast episodes are going to go deeper into some of these and exactly how the burials were and the forensic evidence of it. Number 1, the decapitated Romans, they were in Britain. Roman Britain is full of burials where the head was removed and placed beside the feet. This was after death. These people weren't criminals. Many were healthy or normal individuals that just happened to die of unfortunate events. They appeared to be a ritual instead of a punishment. Number 2, the vampire child of Lugnano, Italy. It was a 10-year-old child buried with a stone in their mouth to prevent feeding during a malaria outbreak. This community was terrified. They were trying to stop the death with symbolism. Many thought if they were able to stop the corpse that died of the disease would not come for the other people that were in the community, or that the child or the dead person itself was the disease. Number 3, the pinned skeletons of Ireland. A medieval adult with a large stone lodged into their chest likely placed there during burial. You could probably guess a few of the other ones that we went over in this. This would probably be what I would call a vampire burial, which leads us to number 4, which is in Drosko, Poland, the vampire cemetery. Multiple burials with sickles placed across the neck or the abdomen. A sickle symbolically protects the living from the dead returning. Also, if the dead happened to sit up, it would decapitate them or cut them in half. These rituals aren't about horror. They're about control. Humans fear what we cannot understand, and ritual is how we make the unknown feel manageable. Here's the part that stops me every time in these. These strange or deviant burials weren't done out of cruelty. They were done out of care. Care for the living and care for the dead. Communities were trying to prevent illness, prevent spiritual harm, protect children, restore balance, and keep the village safe. Fear of the dead is really fear of loss, disease, the unexplained, grief that doesn't rest. Ritual burials are love turned sideways. It's a misunderstanding, a way of saying we cannot control death, but we can try to control what comes after. Anthropology shows us that humans everywhere, across continents, languages, eras, created rituals to cope with the fear of the unknown. And honestly, I don't find that strange at all. I find that beautifully human. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the graves that break the rules, where archaeology meets folklore and fear becomes ritual. Next time on Field Notes from the Dead, we get into some other taboo anthropology, archaeology stuff, which would be cannibalism, and it's in the archaeological record, science, survival, and what that actually reveals in our bones. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who loves the eerie, the ancient, or the deeply human. And as always, you can reach me at any of my contact info in the show notes. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, even the strangest burials come from a place of story and love.